Hello. So this is me just playing on my own, not streaming. Since, as much as I do love it, I am an introvert, so sometimes it is a little stressful to constantly be checking up on chat and all that jazz. So this is going to be me playing. I will be reading dialogue, voice acting it as best as I can, but pretty much everything is just going to be post-playing. Unless at some point someone's like, hey, I see you playing, let's play together. So yeah, this is mostly going to be silent, and I'll just do everything afterwards. So hey, yeah, Coco again. So as you may have noticed, this episode is coming literally many years after the first two, and that's because I just got in the habit of doing a bunch of recordings, and then streaming, and quite frankly, it's a mess. Part of the reason why it has taken so long for me to get back to this series is because after kind of just skimming through this video and a couple others, I realized that I had no idea what I was doing back then. This was my very first time recording an MMORPG, and I didn't really know how to handle it, and of course there was a desire to play offline or off stream to do more stuff. Eventually I did get to the point where I would only record / stream story content instead of just anything. Like, you're gonna see I'm basically just wandering around aimlessly in this. It's also been very intimidating because over the years of me streaming this, there have been instances in which the recording got corrupted. It got to a point where Twitch eventually changed their rules on highlights, so I couldn't hold on to those videos indefinitely like I used to be. So I'm not sure if I managed to download every single thing that I needed in time. To give an example, or even correctly, because the way that Twitch sort of organized everything was very bad. It is very awful. It's not like YouTube where you can just scroll through the videos and just just download them en masse from YouTube Studio. It was quite the chore being able to download stuff, and it was strangely laggy, because first you just had to sort of open up a separate video of the one that had to take time to load for a while. Then you had to right click download, that would take a while. To give an example, like with Ultra Despair Girls, which is currently being uploaded, there was one video that was streamed and recorded, but I ended up downloading like the third part twice instead of the third and fourth part. So I'm not sure if maybe there will be instances in which this has happened as well. And then throughout the streaming itself, if you know me, or if you watch any of the streams, you know I had a very big issue with people spoiling stuff. And I was pretty much asking for 2 years for people to please stop, please stop. This is my definition of spoiling. If this character sneezes within the next 30 seconds, don't say it's gonna happen. I was giving like hyperbolic stuff because it was very bad. So there are going to be instances in which I'm going to have to censor chat, or even censor any of the guests that I have, bleep them out. I might even just re-record story bits in their entirety to be able to get this, since I want to keep this for myself, but also there are people that I do want to share the story of Final Fantasy XIV with, who are pretty much spoiler free, so I don't want that to be ruined for them as it was for me. It got to the point where I stopped streaming and just started recording entirely. But yeah, I take everything I'm saying, following this with a grain of salt about how I'm going to be proceeding with all of this. I don't know at what point I just start focusing on story content. I don't know everything that I did manage to get and did not. So I'm not sure what the editing process for this will be like. It's probably going to change a lot. The there'll probably be a lot of voiceovers like this. I don't know what past me was thinking. But yeah, I haven't, obviously, since I have literally hundreds of videos of this game, I only like looked at this and maybe the next one, so I don't really know how often I'm going to be doing post-recording edits like this where I put my voice on. But I guess at the very least you can expect there to be different different qualities to my audio since I'm now in a completely different place. So yeah, you'll probably be able to tell when something's new by the quality of the audio. Don't know if it's better or worse. We shall see. For this episode, I thought what might be interesting, since as you can probably see, it's a lot of wandering around, apart from just reading the dialogue, I thought it might be good to sort of talk about my experiences with MMOs. Maybe that's something that folks would be interested in, and my experience with Final Fantasy XIV. I don't remember exactly which was my first MMO ever. It was probably, I think it was The Realm, which is, it was a game launched by Sierra in 1996, and it is, here, I'll put up some images. It is a mud game, and the combat in it was turn-based. Let me see if I can find some footage of it. It was kind of a delight, but very much a product of its time. And I was definitely way too young to really be playing probably online with people. The other one that I'm pretty sure this came second, but maybe it came around the same time. And it's called, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. I'm guessing it's Fricadia. But I think when I was young, Fricadia is how I used to pronounce it, which is another MMO mud game. And it's a furry one where you create your anthropomorphic characters. And this one was more just of a chat or roleplay sort of thing. There wasn't really any sort of combat system in it. But those were my first two big ones, I believe. And much like with The Realm, I was probably entirely too young to be playing that game. I mean, there did come a point in which they started putting adult content into that one, and I may have read things I would have been happier not reading back then. But still, I have just so many fond memories of it, just because I met people on it who were nice and had silly little storylines going on. And they had a system called a dream, in which people could pretty much create their own worlds. There were furnitures, there were walls, you just like created these entire maps, really. And it allowed you to sort of do very interesting things with, like, you could create macros or have events going on. You could have bots in it. It was, thinking back on it, it's actually kind of impressive the amount of freedom that people had to create these maps. And there was a specific place where you could put down a teleporter to your map that people could go to. And some of the stuff that people do with it was impressive.
What's all this about? Dimison says he needs his break. The nerve of that sniveling little shite, crying for relief at a time like this. Has he already forgotten how short-handed we are since that business with the XIV the other day? And sending a bloody unknown venturer to do his bleating no less. That self-serving sod thinks only of his own woes, rubbing his sore soles while welcoming all manner of gill-grabbing ventures into our holy wood. Useless bloody fool. But it's not you I should be giving a piece of me mind to. You seem a decent enough sort, considering. Still, understand that it's our duty to keep an eye on every stranger that passes through these parts. Any road, I appreciate you lending an ear to my subordinate. Damn fool that he is. Go on then, and stay out of trouble.
Doing a quick Google search, both of these still exist. Sierra, the one by Sierra the Realm, I think is a little more difficult to get into, but Fricadia has always been free. And it seems they kind of have a revamped version now. Let's see, it says, the second dreaming is a world of magical creation alive with adorable animals and mythical creatures. Choose your favorite customizable avatar and start exploring the friendly, user-empowering online social game. So they call it a social game, which, you know, yeah, as I said, I think that is a definite important distinction. And looking at the website, they now have parental controls, which is good. Because, yes, they had absolutely nothing there preventing children from just going into adult-oriented maps, player-created maps. And I'm looking at this now. This is interesting to me. There's a parent letter. Dear parents or legal guardians, welcome to Fricadia. My name is Emmy Katz. Emerald Flame in game, and yeah, Emerald Flame was always, whenever you created a new character, would be like the one to welcome you. And I'm the executive producer at Dragon's Eye Production, the company that makes Fricadia. I'm also the mom of 2 children, mostly grown up now, who play Fricadia, and I have a degree in education in child psychology. Like you are most likely doing now, I discovered Fricadia while checking to see if what my daughter, 11 then, was playing online was safe and good for her. You might guess that I fell in love with the game and what the very small group that runs it are trying to do. Wait, so that means she's not the creator? Because for as long as I can remember, she always seemed to be a part of it. Fricadia is a non-violent role-playing and social game that promotes creativity and social skills, all in a worldwide community. As there are no monsters to fight, we often appeal to females, adults, and younger players rather than just the male teen stereotype for gaming. In the 17 years I've been playing and working for Fricadia, I've watched many children grow up and go off to college and jobs, many of them studying in fields that are related to skills they first learned in Fricadia. Listed below are some of the skills and fields that they relate to: computer science, game design, skipping a little more now, graphic arts and computer animation, teaching and customer service, leadership and management. Yeah, and they talk about here the dreams, that's what they call maps, that they run clubs and guilds and businesses. Children under 13 are not allowed to play Fricadia without their parents' permission. Guess who did that? Because I was certainly not 13 when I was playing this. I think I was 8 or 9. I was 8 or 9 when I was playing the Realms. I was probably like 10, maybe around like 9, 10 when I was playing this. Oh boy. After reading this letter and the privacy and policy and user agreement, it's up to you to decide if the game is right for your child. You must do the character creation with your child and fill out the personal information, such as your child's email address. You will need to provide... Okay, yeah. I'm more just curious if they address at all how much adult content there was. Oh, they now purchase stuff. A popular activity in the game is trading daigos? The common term for the game items that cost money. Okay, yeah, that's definitely something new. That wasn't around when I played.
What business have you with me, adventurer? You come upon the bidding of Master Parsamontre? So soon? I'm impressed. I placed my order only a short time ago, yet here are all the items I requested. Truly, Master Parsamontre is every bit as resourceful as they say. You are fortunate to work under such a man. You would do well to mold yourself in his image, and if you have any aspirations as a merchant. No, not really. Quarrels with squirrels. Bull Salone of the Lancers Guild wants a fledgling adventurer to deal with the squirrel problem. Ah, a fresh-faced adventurer, the very manner of person I had wished to meet. The Lancers Guild is looking for someone to track down and exterminate half a dozen squirrels. The infernal pests have been squeezing in under our floorboards every eve for the past several moons, and gnawing away at the support pillars. They have yet to inflict any serious structural damage, thanks to the builder, but I hesitate to bring such a trifling matter before the wood-willers or the gods quiver. Hence my delight at your timely arrival. Why, an adventurer who could not dispatch such woodland nuisances is not worthy of the name, not here in Gridania at any rate. And you know what becomes of incapable adventurers. But perhaps it is best you do not. The squirrels of which I spoke can be found in the central shroud. Return to me once you have disposed of them, assuming the task is not beyond you. For your sake, I certainly hope it is not. Okay, returning to what I was reading before.
Okay, here are some extra tips in keeping your children from being exposed to objectionable material in Fracadia. Fracadia does have some public areas that are A18+, AO, and AOC. I guess that means adults only and adults only content? Let me look that up real quick to be sure. Of course, and I knew I was gonna mostly get a political figure. Let me add. I'm getting a lot of interesting results. AOC, short for Age of Conan, the MMORPG by Funcom. Ass on couch. Amped on coffee. Well, I'm going to assume it means adult-only content or something to that effect. Okay, where was I? And we do not allow people under 18 there. These are areas where adults can go to pro play without children present and to explore more mature, violent, or complicated themes, or just to chat about daily things without children present. Signing your child up with a parental password will automatically keep them out of those areas. That's good, but the problem exists that children are going to go ahead and create accounts on their own. Since the adult areas weren't there when I first started playing the game, I don't know if when I signed up there was like some sort of option for our parental password or control. I don't think there was. Other accounts can be kept out of them as well by adding the parental password for dreams when first creating any account. We only police main maps and players are in charge of their own areas. You will get a message when you enter someone else's stream in Fracadia as to what standard it has. The swear filter may not be on in the dream. Very interesting to see how it has grown. Honestly, I might get it just to see how much stuff has changed and to share with people. I've kind of just maybe have it as a nostalgia video, a one-off nostalgia video. But those were my beginnings. After that, there was Ultima Online, which I have so many fun stories about. Gosh. Ultima, Ultima is strange because I don't really remember I don't think I ever really got far in it in terms of level in combat. That was one of those games, if I recall correctly, that had a bunch of skills, like, outside of combat. And I think I did more with leveling those than I did combat, because to my tiny brain, I don't know, I just never got into it, or I never figured out how to do it well. I know I died a lot in that game. But I do have one memory that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, in which I was just wandering aimlessly in a forest. I got lost, and I came across a bunch of chickens. And at the time, I did not know that there was a spell that people could use to turn themselves into animals. I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it's just chickens or if you can be some other ones. But I remember them just turning around to me, and I thought these were NPCs. Now, I was so confused. And one of them, the text bubble just appeared above one of their heads, and they were like, "Get them!" And they killed me. So I thought I just got randomly killed by a bunch of chickens and that I had stumbled onto some weird meeting. Looking back, obviously it was real players and they were probably deliberately doing this to troll, but I love that memory so much. I think another really fun thing, I recall that around Christmas, they would have like a themed event in which they would split people into two teams, Santa or reindeer, and they would just give anyone who got involved like the full kit of spells or some specific spells, and it was just chaos. People trying to destroy each other. Maybe you had to like capture some towers or something. Let me see if I can find that. Ultima Online Christmas event? Huh. Ultima Online Santa versus reindeer? Reindeer's revenge? Oh no, the reindeer are not happy. What revenge are they plotting on old Saint Nick? Does it say anything more than that? It's Ultima Online Reindeer's Revenge. It is by the blessing of the elementals that we Gridanians dwell in the 12. See to it that you do not, which brings our people to grief. I am not finding anything about this other than that, which is just sort of a calendar of events, and it's saying that this one passed. This one happened 2023, so I don't even know if it's the same one I was thinking of. God, am I just hallucinating all this stuff? Am I just fabricating memories? I don't know. Ultima Online EverQuest? EverQuest was the big one. I sunk so much time into EverQuest. And I still remember it fondly. I know that one still exists, and relatively recently I did poke my head into it, and a lot of stuff has changed. Like the sort of starting tutorial stuff is very strange. It kind of feels different. It took so long for me to sort of get back to the world proper. So that put me off a little bit, but again, much like Arcadia and the Realm, I might do a sort of nostalgia thing on that. Within EverQuest, I actually... Gosh, this is gonna be strange to say, since let me tell you guys, just trying to get this one episode edited It has been months in between, so some of the stuff you heard earlier in the video was from a while ago. What you're hearing now is more current to when it will probably be published. But I recently had a discussion with my friend Rosh. It came up in the Ace Attorney investigations too. I made an offhand joke about how in EverQuest I would just be walking in complete darkness and I would just hear the flapping of wings. My character screams and I'm dead. And that was something that happened in that game. Outside of Freeport, I'd just be killed by a griffin. Right. It was because there were some statues of griffins in the game and it just brought back that ancient memory. I remember, I don't know how it started or even what was exchanged, but it might be one of my very first instances of role-playing. I had a high elf cleric and I got into an argument with a dwarf and we were just sort of exchanging, stereotypical insults. But afterwards, they gave me like a metric shit ton of gold, which then of course I lost because I died and I couldn't find my body. Since I had a habit, I think the thing I did the most in that game was just wander. I just really loved wandering and I would often end up in places that were way too high leveled for me, but I just had so much fun. And one thing I really enjoyed doing that I would do constantly is in Freeport, I would take the ship. And the thing I really like about the travel in that game is that it was real time. Obviously, it's not like the travel would be an hour, but you would get on this ship that started in Freeport and it would just sail for, I can't estimate how long it was, probably 20 minutes. And it would make some stops at some island before it got to the next major city. And you could also just jump off and swim if you saw an island that it didn't stop off at. But there were, of course, sharks that could attack you if you weren't careful where you jumped off. But I just really loved doing that. And speaking of roleplay, one thing that I did, my character, if I recall, the one that I had at Freeport was a human. And her name was Manika Sorono. And I kept sort of like a journal for her that I would write about things that happened and, people I met or monsters I came across. And it would be dramatized, of course. And I think part of the reason I did that was because of the wholesaling thing. As I said, like speaking of roleplay, I was reminded of this because I guess I started doing that journal type thing because in school, in one of my science classes, we saw this little, I guess it was just a collection of shorts called Voyage of the Mimi. Let me look that up real quick. Voyage of the Mimi. The Voyage of the Mimi is a 13-episode American education television program depicting the crew of the ship Mimi exploring the ocean and taking a census of humpback whales. The series aired on PBS and was created by the Bank Street College of Education in 1984 to teach middle schoolers about science and mathematics in an interesting and interactive way, where every lesson related to real-world applications. So yeah, one of the assignments we got for that was to pick a character and then write a journal, talking about what happened during each of the episode. And that was probably the closest to the roleplay I type to do, like text-based role-playing that I ever did. And because of that, I started doing the same for my character in EverQuest. I kind of wish I could find the notebook I wrote that on and see how absolutely cringe it is. Her delivery, eh? You're certain you won't followed? Yes, this is what I requested.
Strange. I was expecting someone with rather more experience. I usually balk at such outrageous payments prior to delivery. Honestly, I'm amazed you made it this far. These woods are teeming with animals and other nasties, ready to make a quick meal of the unprepared. I commend your bravery and thank you for your trouble. Here, take the remainder of the fee. I should be very happy to employ you. Wait, do you see that? It looked like an annul. Quickly, go before you bring it here and get us all killed. Greetings, Mielcar. Mione sent word to expect you. My name is Galfred, and I am responsible for training our twin adder recruits. I thank you for volunteering your assistance. The Twelves Wood is much changed since the calamitous arrival of the Seventh Umbral Era 5 years ago. The power of the elementals wanes, and the harmony of the forest gives way to chaos. A great abundance of life has been lost as the strong run rampant, stifling the weak and new-sprung. Though it may not appear so to the eyes of an outsider, the Twelves Wood is ailing, its once rich variety of fading memory. For the citizens of Gridania, the restoration of the forest is a sacred duty, and it is my hope that adventurers such as you will offer to aid them in their struggle. Listen to their requests and do all you can. May the elementals bless your endeavors, Mielcar.
Have you come to train? Not a new recruit. Then, yours on shelves I ordered Morrill to requisition. I see he's learned to delegate authority, if nothing else. Now that I have these carapaces, I can set my recruits some specialized drills. They are all ready. An adept at hitting a target, of course, but they need practical knowledge of exactly where a monster like a Yarzan is most vulnerable. Thanks to your efforts, I have no doubt they will fare rather better against the creatures when called upon. You should be proud of yourself. Both they and the Bannock are safer for your help. Let me quick look up how to change the action slots. Is this like control 1? Alright, okay. But I'd like to be able to change stuff like this. I recently played a game that was trying to emulate EverQuest. Similar graphics, similar sort of class system. They even had the same sort of enmity gauge that EverQuest had, where different NPCs had different views on you depending on what each of you were. Like if you were from enemy cities or something, they would aggro you immediately, or if it was an aggressive animal that would attack you, it would be a certain color. And then it would also have a line that would dictate to you, that would sort of give a vague idea of what level they were in comparison to you. And I always found that very neat, so I was happy to see that. The game is called Pantheon, and it's on Steam, and it's still relatively new. But I had a lot of fun for the time I was playing with that. I'll probably get back to it at some point again.
Passing muster. Galfred, chief instructor at the Bannock, wishes to inspect your equipment and thereby gauge your readiness for future missions. I see you are eager to lend a hand, Miel. That is well, but I cannot in good conscience send you into the forest until I have established that your equipment is equal to the task. It bears repeating that in the 5 years since the dawn of the 7th Umbral Era, many of the 12's creatures have transformed into vicious, bloodthirsty monsters. Venturing into the forest without the proper gear is tantamount to suicide. I suggest you take some time to evaluate your equipment. Once you deem your armor to be of sufficient quality, present yourself to me for inspection. Ready for inspection, right? Yes, I think you pass. You would be surprised at how many young, promising soldiers get themselves killed by rushing off into the woods without first donning a decent set of armor. Your equipment, however, should provide the required degree of protection. Consider yourself ready for duty, Miel. By learning the spell Teleport, you are now able to travel instantly between aetherites to which you are attuned. Access the teleportation menu by selecting Teleport under Travel from the main menu.
Unlike the other spells, teleport does not require MP to cast, and instead uses a type of naturally regenerating spiritual energy. A small fee of gil, however, must be paid to the keepers of the aetheryte so they can maintain the crystals and defend them from those who would see them destroyed. The fee varies depending on the travel distance and the remoteness of aetheryte location. Registering in an aetheryte as a favored destination will reduce the amount of gil required to travel there. Up to 3 favored destinations can be registered at any one time. Excuse me? I'm supposed to be participating in a group training exercise for the Order of the Twin Adult recruits, but my party is short a few members, and... Would you mind joining me? It would only be for a few moments. Miel, by your tireless efforts you have proven yourself a friend to Gridania. I believe you can be trusted with sensitive intelligence. I would assign you a mission of considerable import, yet the need for secrecy prevents me from discussing its details until you have pledged your participation. I am authorized to tell you only that if it concerns suspicious activity in the Twelves Wood, say that you will lend us your aid and I shall proceed with the brief. Good. Time is of the essence, so listen well. You will by now have heard that a suspicious individual has been seen prowling the Twelves Wood. And you may also be aware that XIV activity has risen sharply in the region of late. What you may not know is that this increase coincided almost exactly with the first recorded sighting of the aforementioned individual. Suspecting a connection, we tightened our surveillance in hopes of tracking down our unknown visitor. Alas, our query is proving to be exceedingly elusive, almost as if he knows our movements ahead of time. But where whole units have failed, a lone adventurer may yet succeed. Acting independently and covertly, you may be able to close in on our query unnoticed. Fear and anxiety are beginning to take their toll upon the citizenry, Miel. For their sake, I ask that you aid us in this investigation. You have my gratitude. With your help, I am hopeful we shall shed light upon this mystery. Begin your search at Lifeman's Stump. It is there that the majority of the sightings took place. Be forewarned, my people cannot offer you support, lest our query catch scent of our presence and evade us yet again. Proceed with caution. And it looks for the rest of this episode. I kind of just wander around and then just abruptly stop the recording. So I guess I'll go ahead and end it here. If you actually sat through this and listened to me just babble on about some old MMOs, thank you, sincerely. I promise that future episodes will actually have more MSQ content. As I mentioned before, there's a point in which I started streaming or recording only story-related stuff. Don't know exactly when that starts. Hopefully this is the only episode that's like this. I'll see which ones I can skip if possible, or maybe just like cram the only relevant bits onto following episodes. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end things right here. Thank you all so very much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful time zone wherever you are, and as always, please do take care of yourselves and each other. Toodaloo!